Speedbird 232, right heading 235, and report localizer established runway 27 left, Speedbird 232.
Hello everybody and welcome back again to another video. Today's will be the first video of a series of videos that will be featuring the FSLabs A320 for prepare version 4.1. So as you might guys know in the previous video that this bird had been released. It's one of the most anticipated add-on honestly when it comes to the Airbus world. That and the Aerosoft one. So I decided, and instead of going kind of giving a first look and start up with the aircraft here and there to give you an actual flight that will demonstrate every aspect of this magnificent add-on. So without further ado, let's get started. So approaching any Airbus is a little bit different than a Boeing per se. As we move to the overhead panel, I'm going to explain some things as we come along with the flight. So first of all, battery switches battery 1 and 2. Then we're going to switch to external power. So aircraft is powered up now. We can put the seatbelt signs on and start with our flow. So the Airbus actually real life flow determined that you have to go on the overhead panel from left to right, bottom to the top. So we're gonna go like that and etc. So I'm gonna explain some things before we actually go ahead with the overhead and the startup procedure basically. So first one is going to be, as you might guys see here, this is the hydraulic and fuel panel. So if I squeeze myself in here, click in hydraulic and take that with us here. Okay, so the whole aircraft is doing a lot of bite tests. So again, hydraulics. Okay, so hydraulic and this A320 consist of three main systems. So we have green, blue, and yellow, as you might guys see here. Green is coming from engine number 1, and it's only powered by that engine driven pump for the hydraulic panel, for the hydraulic system. So there's no other actual way to power the green system except for that pump there, or by using the PTU. We're going to talk about that later on. So we have to make sure that green is actually powered up or energized before we are actually applying the main brake system, because the main brake system and other crucial systems are running on that green system. Considering if you are going to do a single taxi, single engine taxi for example, you have to make sure that either the green hydraulic system is energized or you're using the alternate braking system that is coming from the yellow system. Later on with that. Okay, so the yellow system here is also driven by that engine number 2, plus we can actually energize that system by using an electric pump here. So we can see the switch here for the electric pump that we can actually use to energize the yellow system. Blue system is all electric pumps. There's absolutely no engine driven pumps for that system, and connected to that is the ram air turbine system in case of a hydraulic system failure or an electric system failure. So with that out of the way, PTU here is the power transfer unit. So once either the green or yellow system are energized with 3000 psi and the other system is actually lacking by more than 500 psi, the PTU, the power transfer unit, will take, actually it's kind of like a cross, kind of an XSplit kind of function. So it will take the pressure from one side to the other using the logic that's built in. So if we energize system yellow, we're gonna see that once we are started our engine number 2 there, that PTU will actually work, and for the cabin passengers, they will hear that barking dog kind of sound. So with that out of the way, we can go into the fuel system to explain a few little things in here. I'm not gonna go into details. So we have 3 kind of main tanks. Each of those tanks consists of 2 fuel pumps, as we can see here. And those actually wing tanks have another wing tanks attached to them that will also use the wing fuel pumps. So they do not have any fuel pumps built into them. They will just use the wing fuel pumps. So we have the APUs actually taken from those fuel pumps, and there is absolutely no kind of complicated explanations here. So we can move into the electric side of this aircraft. So as usual, this aircraft consists of 2 generators are coming on from the both engines, and we can also use the APU generator to power the AC2 or an AC1 buses there. External power now is providing us with AC power to actually power up those buses. Those AC buses will also power up the transformer rectifiers that will take the AC power to DC, as we can see here. So we have the DC battery bus there, DC essential transformer rectifier, emergency generator, and there are a couple more electric shed buses. We're not going into details honestly about that. It's good to have a general idea of how the aircraft is actually behaving and what's inside of an Airbus, basically. So next coming is bleed. I'm not going to so many details in here, especially with the high pressure and low pressure information here, but we have to know that we have 2 engine pleats as usual, and we have an APU pleat and a ram air bleed, and we can use a ground cart to start our engines and provide us with that bleed. So 2 backs, as we can see here, and we can actually energize those packs with either systems. So we can use the APU pleat, as we are going to see in a moment, to actually energize pack 2 and pack 1 with, I think, 32 psi. We're gonna look at that later on. So we can use the APU for that. We have the XSplit valve that have a logic inside of it to actually determine what is being used for what. So we're gonna leave it at auto, and once we are starting our engines, the logic behind it will take the bleed to whether the engine number 2 or 1 is starting up. And once we are taken off, if we are decided to actually turn off the engine bleeds and use an APU to cool or heat our passengers, we can actually set the APU bleed to on and leave it at that. The aircraft logic will determine that we are taking off with APU bleed, so the engine's power will be kind of focused on the engines itself. So the aircraft will not use any engine bleeds. So we're gonna see those kind of functions once we go on our flight today. Next, probably I'm gonna talk about one last thing that honestly have delayed this video. I was wanted actually to fly this aircraft in a snow condition and use a GSX to actually use the anti-ice and anti-freeze fluids in there and follow that checklist. So once we are ready to actually spray that kind of fluid, there are a couple or three items that we should do. Honestly, shut off the engine bleeds 1 and 2, although our engines will not be running, and shut off APU bleed. Then we're gonna go in here and put the ditching push button here to on, and that will close all the autoflow valve of the aircraft, preventing the fluid to kind of contaminate the inside of the aircraft. So a lot of stuff to kind of comprehend from my quick talk here, but hopefully in the next 3 or 4 flights using this aircraft, everybody kind of will get very familiar with it. So let's get started here, going from left to right, bottom to top. Everything is looking good. ADIRSs are 1 to nav on battery, and ADR3 to nav. We'll wait for that light to come off. And I'm going to actually wait for the APU there. So going at the bottom here, we can switch on the nav and logo light. Seatbelts lights are on. APU bleed, we'll wait for the APU to be started before that. So fuel pumps, I'm gonna switch them to on. And that's about it. So on the pedestal here, we can go ahead and see the weather radar panel here that we are going to check later on. ATC panel, flaps, lever and ground spoilers, and speed brake lever there. Engine mode, basically selector for starting our engine. Fuel cutoff switches, and the ATC panel, we have to make sure later on that it's on auto, altitude reporting, and TARA. So with that being done, I think we are honestly good to fiddle with the MCDU, and I'm gonna show you a little bit of neat features of this aircraft. So if we go in here to ATSU, AOC menu, weather request, Lima, Oscar Whiskey India, Echo Delta Delta Foxtrot, and we're gonna send a request at 30:50 UTC time. So received messages 30:50 UTC time, and we have the weather. So 1024, a little bit of high pressure there. 1024. So with that out of the way, we are going to put the parking brake to on. And at this point, honestly, we will stop at this first video and move into the kind of MCDU preparation, startup and takeoff in the next video. So stay tuned guys, and hopefully see you next video. Take care.